Hello and welcome to the AVForums Movies Podcast for Monday, the 4th of September, 2023. Tonight, I am joined by Tom Davies.
Hello.
Simon Crust.
I want to suck your blood.
And Mark Costello.
Yeah.
I said suck.
No. There's always one.
Yeah. And there's always Simon.
Evening all.
This week, we're going to take a look at Fast X on 4K, The Wicker Man's lavish 50th anniversary 4K set, and Blood and Black Lace in 4K. We're also going to look at TV shows. Mark Dacascos entering Bruce Lee's Warrior Season 3. The return of Apple's kind of meh invasion. And a quick update on Star Wars Ahsoka, because I'm the only one enjoying this. We're also going to have a quick look at the very ill-fated The Last Voyage of the Demeter. And I'm the only one who enjoyed that as well. Unceremoniously pulled from UK cinemas and landed straight on streaming in the US. I mean, after like a week in the cinemas, and I don't know when anyone's going to ever see it. So off the back of that, we're going to look at our best and worst vampire movies that happen to star Dracula.
Dracula movies.
Yeah, I just did that for Mark, just to mess with him.
You cad.
Yes,
Cad.
right. And in return, Mark, give us some competition.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Right.
I'm with Mark on this.
Okay, yes. So you can win Fast X on 4K, and even better. I mean, there's not a lot better than Fast X. But even better tonight, you can now win the Second Sight limited edition box set, 4K releases of two absolute bangers, It Follows and Crimes of the Future. Plus loads more in what is going to be, and it literally says here, kids, a bumper September of competitions. Get ready for that. So everyone, head over to avforums.com/competitions to enter. And as ever, all competitions are open to eligible AV Forums members resident in the UK.
Nice. We got a whole bunch of previous competition winners. Some very happy patrons out there. Supporter Los Salan won Jackie Chan's Ride on Blu-ray. Supporter Chickadee Simaru won Skinnamarink on Blu-ray. Supporter Dabadan 486 won Carmen on Blu-ray. Supporter S Banger won Super Mario Bros on Blu-ray. Supporter Nafine won Lola on Blu-ray, and star supporters Woody 999 won The Lair on Blu-ray. Big Ben Chunk won May on limited edition Blu-ray box set. Wreck-It
Nice.
Yap won limited edition Evil Dead Rise 4K bundle with like I think a t-shirt and a signed thing and
Art cards.
maybe there were
Gotta be
also
that.
some like tiny little Evil Dead tags in there made of cardboard. I was like, Anyway, AJP2 won the Cosa Nostra box set on Blu-ray.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, it was very nice, and it was open, and I was very tempted to just take all the discs out. Count Jedi won Frontiers on limited edition Blu-ray, and Jackie Chan Wigwam won Dungeons and Dragons on Blu-ray.
Well done, everyone.
It would be remiss of me if I didn't say Chickadee Cymru, Kaz. It's Welsh.
Yes, I mean it's going to happen. I still apparently pronounce Cillian Murphy Cillian. So there you go.
So Irish, Welsh, anything that's not English, basically.
Yeah, basically anything. I just go straight for it.
Fine.
I'm pretty good at Polish though, if that helps. I can do Polish. Okay.
Where
help.
were you last month for my 3-hour unfinished Polish science fiction film, Kaz?
I was telling you not to watch it.
Yeah.
So I was
That's
like,
where you were.
don't
Yeah.
watch it. New patrons: Sebastian Corfanti, Colin McPhee, and DRT. Very enigmatic. Congratulations! Thank you very much for joining. You'll undoubtedly
Welcome.
stuff
Welcome,
already.
welcome. Go and see all that early access stuff.
Right. Let's have some movie reviews and news. There's not really a huge amount going on at the cinema at the moment.
It's like there's a strike or something.
Yeah,
on.
I mean, it's not looking good, is it? It's
Yeesh.
what have they said? They've said like 5 billion it's cost so far. I don't know where they're getting these numbers from, but Yeah, apparently it's cost 5 billion to someone somewhere, and yeah, it's getting a bit messy. Not a great deal to watch. And one of the things that I think pretty much everyone here, apart from me, probably was looking forward to was Last Voyage of the Demeter, which is I don't even want to say it's a chapter. It's like some lines from Bram Stoker's. Yeah, Bram Stoker's Dracula has a short excerpt from the captain's log found on a busted up vessel, briefly, kind of scantily describing what happened on this ship that we all know transported Dracula from Mare to Carfax, London. And obviously everybody died and the ship was busted up. But it's quite an interesting 3 or 4 throwaway lines, kind of like, today everything's okay on the ship, we're having fun. Ooh, someone's disappeared. I don't know how that happened. And then like day 3, saw a figure on the galley. Day 4, more people have died. This is not looking good. Day 5, I've got to chain myself to the wheel and hold a cross. So it's like, it's pretty simple, bullet point events. And taking that and making an entire movie out of it. I mean, you can see why in Bram Stoker's Dracula, like the Coppola's version, they just summed it up by crashing ship, Dracula's arrived. But someone saw the model in Bram Stoker's Dracula and went, "Ooh, could make a movie out of that." And I think actually the original idea is great. Do it in the style of like Alien, or do it in the style of The Thing. I mean, a lot of sort of classic, I'm going to say haunted house style movies.
Enclosed location.
Yeah, and even if, I mean, everyone knows the outcome of this who's vaguely familiar with the story or Coppola's version or anything, but you can still make it pretty tense.
We'll have a talk about that, won't we? Boy, oh boy.
You could still do something with it.
You can.
You could.
They could have.
They could have.
Now, I think that Last Voyage is a missed opportunity in fully capitalizing on doing that, because it isn't the aliens and the thing and all of those things. It tries to go in that direction and introduces a few, alternative viewpoints and characters and beats that obviously weren't there in the scant prose, but it doesn't really double down on the crazy. And they could, and I put in my review, they could have gone anywhere with this, because despite sort of knowing the outcome, I mean, much like Alien and the Thing, like you could have anything happen and still end in that same seemingly rather dour situation. And I don't think that they fully committed to that. But I do think that they got a lot of things right, which I haven't seen done in movies like this. And I'm not huge into the genre, not least the sort of gothic feel, the creation of Dracula himself as what felt at times, I mean, apart from a CGI fueled finale, at times very practical, like this slightly slimy, sun denied corpse creeping around on a boat in the shadows.
Golem. Golem.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I mean, I liked a lot of the things they did with it, and I'm torn between everything I wanted it to be and everything they did manage to achieve out of 5 lines out of a book. So I actually had a fun ride with it, and I know I'm not the target audience at all you guys were, but I did enjoy it, and I did wonder to myself after finishing watching it how much more I might have enjoyed it had I been locked away in a dark cinema and just there for the duration. And then,
man, like I 100% agree with you on everything that you said. I think I just liked it less. The first hour of it I think is a solid movie. And you were saying like they could do anything, they could go crazy, but I was kind of pleased that that first hour is like self-contained, low key, one by one. Dracula picks off the. That's what I wanted. That is the movie that I wanted, and it was a bit ropey in parts, but generally it was pretty well put together. And there were a couple of moments.
I believe the term is charming.
Charming. And there were a couple of moments where I was like, "Oh, that's good." I wasn't. That's good. But they really play to this. Like, there's one moment, and I won't spoil it, but you'll know what I mean, where you think, now all bets are off. Now anything can happen.
Yes.
And nope, play it as safe as possible for the finale, and just have like the super traditional ending. Let's not go super nuts, and let's say that point is the craziest it's going to get, and we're just going to scale it back from here and just have a weird CGI finale, which is like, what have you done? Like, you nearly had a little understated B-movie Dracula gem, and you tried to do something really dumb with it, and then you ended it in a horrendously stupid way. And
it was a good moment, though. It was a good moment.
Yeah, 100%. It was a great moment. Okay. But those last like 10, 15 minutes, I was like, "Flam out. This is ridiculous. I'm not interested anymore."
It's pretty it was pretty CG at the end, yeah. So as also
did a couple of things right, as far as I'm concerned. It looked pretty good. Yeah, nicely cinematic. And we have that fairly digital sheen that you get with modern horror films. What immediately struck my mind was Evil Dead Rise, how glossy it is, and it's kind of glossy in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
It's very dark, very moody. The introduction of all the weird and wonderful characters that didn't exist in the book, or whatever mentioned. Okay, work and live with that.
Sure.
The idea of the child on the boat, I like that. That was good because that gives you some real tension. I loved the monster. I thought he was brilliant. Not only because of what it's based on, which we'll come on to later, but because he was a filthy, horrible monster. He was unlike any other Dracula, apart from Nosferatu, that you've ever seen. And I really enjoyed that. But it kind of, it didn't really know what it wanted to be. It should have been a whodunit. It wasn't. It should have been people trapped and trying to fight their way out. It wasn't. It kind of got lost. Everything that you said is exactly what it is, and you're quite right. It bailed in the last few minutes when you went, "Oh, really? Why did you do that? Why not just blood and splatter everywhere and just have the boat crash? I mean, come on, it was simple. It was written in the book. Just finish it like it should have been in the book." But you know,
to speak to your point about like the monster, I totally agree. Loved and agree with you, Cass. I love the practicality, especially there's a bit where you see the wing. Great image.
The prisoner.
And the rubbery bat fingers over the face. Really, really good. That being said, to get from the point where this is going into like divergence from the book, which I was super okay with until I wasn't okay with it, which is that by the time this film ends, Dracula needs to be in a certain place, looking a certain way, being a certain thing, in order for the story of Dracula to continue. And it doesn't get to that point. In fact, it completely goes.
Yes, it goes.
Do you know what I mean? If you think back to Francis Ford Coppola's adaptation, you have like the gentleman Dracula prancing around London.
No, he had a few days where he just kicked around and he got into one, and they're going to get into that in the sequel. It's not going to happen because this didn't make any money.
Yeah.
But, he had a couple of days where he just hung over and he needed a bit of something.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted a showdown between the main character and fancy gentleman Dracula being like, "I've won. Like this,
Yeah.
you've lost.
Yeah, it
Now
should have ended on a.
You had some hope, and now you've lost. And I wanted
it should
that
have
kind
ended
of like
in blood and splatter.
man-to-man confrontation before blood and splatter, exactly like Simon says. And you don't get that. And I felt a bit like it's poor criticism, isn't it, to criticize a film for not being something that it isn't. But
That's
I
why I
wanted it to be something else.
Yeah, that's why I had to keep reminding myself that really they did a lot with very, very little indeed. But
we should also remember that George Lucas made 3 films out of one line, so it's not without precedent, is it?
yes, yeah.
See, though, the thing is, though, it's and yes, I haven't seen it, and I'm kind of glad.
Then shut up, Mark. You don't know what you're talking about.
Didn't drop $25 on that now. But
You're such a cheapskate, Mark.
Yes, I am.
Just...
Very, very much so. But to get back to what you just said there, Kaz, yes, they may have done a lot with a little, but it's that classic, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And if they could not take this vision of how to do Dracula different and deliver something satisfying, which, let's be frank, for the fans, then why bother? And it
I know,
sounds
but
like they haven't.
I mean, I can see that. I just felt a bit more apologetic about it because, you know, they gave, and I will say, Mark, for a person who's undertaking all of the possible tangential Stephen King adaptations, I guarantee you're going to watch one of the terrible ones and go, it was all right.
Mark's going to come back in 2 weeks' time going, you know what, Thinner is quite a good movie.
Yeah.
That's Silver Bullet. Thumbs up.
Silver Bullet is ace, and I will fight you. Corey
Maximum
Corey
overdrive.
Haim
Come on.
in a motorized wheelchair. I tell you what, though, the first place I'm starting is Return to Salem's Lot. That's where I'm starting.
In the tall grass.
Oh dear.
I mean,
no, never again.
I enjoyed this, and it's not. I'm not the target audience, and I do think that it deserved a little bit better treatment than just not appearing in the UK.
Well, I definitely would have gone to see it in the cinema, 100%.
Well, and I do think I would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah, but
locked away in a screen with Dracula on a boat. It was.
Well, let's be honest. There are 2 very good reasons why we're not getting it in cinemas. One of which you can kind of maybe understand, because it died at the US box office, absolutely tanked. But the other one, which is probably the main one, is it got lost in the business restructure. Who was the distributor? Was it E1?
Yes, I think so.
So it got lost in that. So that, you know, I get that a lot of people are going, we should have this in cinemas, and I totally agree. But I think this isn't a case of a distributor just went, oh, it did crap numbers over there, we're not going to bother.
No, it isn't.
There is a legit reason why we are not. It's still a crap reason.
It is still a crap reason.
It's a legit reason why we're not getting this.
It's not. But you can have it both ways, though, can't you? Because like I 100% would have gone to see this in the cinema. It is a real shame that it didn't make it to the cinema here, because I agree with everything Kaz has said. Like, a lot of it is good. A lot of it, I think, if I discovered this knowing nothing about it on like Netflix or Amazon, I'd have had a ball. Like, I'd have been like, oh, what a disappointing ending, but what a great like little, you know, digression of Dracula lore. Great.
It's like Blood Red Sky, the prequel.
Jesus Christ!
It's
I haven't even got into Dracula.
Like it's not. Hint: Dracula's not in that.
We're gonna have to have a recap of this once Mark's seen it in like 6 months' time.
You mean when I proclaim it a 5-star masterpiece?
Yes.
And you're all utterly insane.
Yes, we're gonna have to come back to it when I'm even talking negatively about it, and you're going, "That was the greatest thing ever, better than Fast X."
No.
Yeah.
No.
Right. No. Okay. That's all we got for movies. It's not even cinema.
Bugger all movies.
So we're going to talk about 4K dicks.
If you enjoy the podcast on YouTube, then please like and subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version, then please leave us a rating on your podcast app. We invite you to email questions and feedback to podcast@avforums.com. and join in with this episode's discussion thread in the podcast's forum at AVForums.
Right, Mark's seen Arrow's Blood and Black Lace in 4K.
I was going to say many times, but yes, this last one in 4K. To cut straight to it, it's an absolute belter of a disc. It's a belter of a film on a belter of a disc. Very quickly on the film, for those that don't know, Blood and Black Lace is Mario Bava's 1964. Some say it's a proto-giallo. It pretty much is your halfway house between a classic 70s giallo, which hadn't been invented yet, ironically, and the classic late 70s slasher, which again hadn't been invented yet. It took what Hitchcock and Michael What's-His-Face did with Psycho and Peeping Tom Powell, and delivered a film that literally celebrated the kills. It was one of the very first, I don't want to say mainstream films, because it wasn't too mainstream, but it was one of the first films that really focused on the set piece deaths. Those were the star of the film. It wasn't the killer itself, like Peeping Tom and Psycho. It wasn't a particular protagonist, a final girl, if you like. It was literally kill, 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 kill. But what was different about this is Bava almost said, I'm going to take that grotsploitation structure, but paint it in the most beautiful aesthetics you can see. The nearest film visually, I think, to this that I can think of is Dario Argento's Suspiria. Huge amounts of primary lush colors are just there just because it looks great for no other reason. And for that, the film still really holds up. The set pieces are absolutely exquisite. They're not overtly bloody or gory, but they are beautiful, as well as they are almost uncomfortable, because he shoots, the camera almost goes right up into the face of the girl as she's dying. And it's almost that mix of, you enjoyed all that stuff now? Yeah, well, try and enjoy this, I dare you. So the film is absolutely brilliant. The disc. So we'll get the bad out the way first. Arrow have unfortunately fallen into their old habits of just recycling the extras from their previous 1080p version here. So there are no new extras on this disc. In fact, it's actually lost an extra from the 2015 previous version of it, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, for those that didn't have that disc or don't have that disc, who are coming to this for the first time, the extras on it are actually pretty good. You've got an audio commentary by Mario Bava's biographer, Tim Lucas. You've got a really good documentary called Psychoanalysis, which looks at the evolution of the giallo to the slasher, with Blood and Black Lace slap bang in the middle of it, with critics, filmmakers. You've got Argento on it, Lamberto Bava's on it. And then you've got a really interesting appreciation by the filmmakers behind Amer and The Strange Colour of Your Body's Tears, Hélène Catet and Bruno Forzani. They've come at it from this is what we took from this into our films. And it was a much more thematic exploration of what was so good about it. It was only 11 minutes, but it's probably the one extra that I'd watch on that. The audio tracks are, again, exactly as they were on the previous ones. There's nothing really to write home about. An Italian LPCM mono track and an English LPCM mono track. Again, you take your pick with both of them. Half the actors spoke English, half the actors spoke Italian. It doesn't matter which one you pick. Someone's going to be doing this half the time, but the tracks are pretty good. Obviously, there's slight sync issues because both of them were post-dubbed anyway, but it's not obnoxious. And the tonal characteristics of both tracks are broadly similar. So it really is, whichever one you want, that's the one to go with. The reason we come to this in 4K, though, is those visuals. For a film that is so heavily reliant on its amazing visuals, they had better have got this 4K transfer right. And boy, did they. Now, unfortunately, there are many great things about writing these kind of reviews for AVForums. We get discs sent to us for free. However, the problem with that is we only get the disc. We don't get anything else. So if we got a booklet, we'd have been told a little bit about the restoration that took place on this. We don't know anything at all about what restoration was done on this. I've had a look on the internet. There's nothing anywhere other than Arrow themselves say they've done a new 4K restoration. However, frankly, I don't care what they did because it looks absolutely amazing. It's sumptuous. Now, I came into this thinking that the biggest win here is going to be the Dolby Vision HDR10, the wide color gamut, and it is. But I was surprised at the uptick in the detail levels here. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, obviously, he shot spherical, so it's 1.85 to 1 in this one. Now, the previous Arrow release was shot in 1.66. According to various sources, both were shown theatrically, but I think a number of people who had the previous disc and saw the 1.66 to 1 framing complained that the framing just didn't look right. That's just gone. This is now 1.85 to 1. There's no other option on this. That's what you've got. And it looks amazing. The fine detail is absolutely brilliant. It's got that look, which when you've seen a number of good solid restorations of 35mm, you know what sharp looks like without being digital sharp. It's filmic sharp, and that's what this is. It's absolutely gorgeous. The grain, perfect. It's incredibly fine, but it's even. The compression is magnificent, so there's no problems there. And then you stick the Dolby Vision and that gorgeous wide color gamut on top. And frankly, if anyone even so much as thought this film was pretty good, you owe it to yourself to get this disc because it will never look as good as it does here. It's an absolute blinder. Can't say any more than that. Brilliant film, brilliant disc. Go and buy it.
6 out of 10, right?
Sorry?
6 out of 10, right?
Well,
It's
7
above
out,
average.
7 out of 10's average, remember?
Yeah, that's true.
So yes, it's a great release. It's one of Arrow's one discers, I think. I think it's a one discer. There's no 1080p release. This is just the one disc. But I think the set does have the usual. It's got the booklet, it's got the poster, it's got the art cards, and of course, dependent on whether or not you like the new artwork or the old classic artwork, you've got the choice there. I personally have pre-ordered the art original version direct from Arrow. Can't wait for that to show up. But yeah, everyone go and buy this. It's amazing.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
And another all-time gem from Simon with Wicker Man, which I think you've been looking forward to for like forever.
Well, since it was first announced at the beginning of the year, whenever it was, yeah. Quite simply, one of the greatest British horror films, one of the greatest British films, one of the greatest films indeed ever put on celluloid, and the way it was treated by its distributor was shocking. And that's part of the mythos of the film, of why it has become quite so cult, because everyone wanted to see the famed directors or the extended versions, and it took a few years, but now we have got 3 versions of this quite remarkable film, The Wicker Man. Starring Christopher Lee, he of the Dracula fangs, whom we will probably be talking about a little bit later, in what he referred to as his best role ever. And you can see why. He is absolutely magnificent in it. A smiling, happy, jolly person that runs the island and is quite happy to murder for it. He's absolutely superb in it. And then you've got Edward Woodward as the, or Iwa Wuwa, if you take out all the D's in his name, as the policeman who has comes to the island to try and find a lost girl, and finds himself inevitably drawn inextricably all the way towards the Wicker Man of the finale, in what is just one of the best endings of a film quite possibly ever. It's a brilliant film, and we are fortunate with this 50th anniversary to have all 3 films all been rescanned, all been remastered on 4K with Dolby Vision. Just remarkable. The set comes with 2 Blu-rays, which is the same disc. I haven't seen the Blu-rays, but they're exactly the same as the UHDs. And it also comes with a CD of the music, not the original stuff, unfortunately. but it's still very good. It's still got all the songs and stuff on it, plus all those weird and wonderful art cards and posters and packagings and books and booklets and everything, none of which we've seen, of course. But nevertheless, it is still a fabulous film. So which order would you like the films spoken about?
Your favourite cut?
My favourite cut. Okay, my favourite cut is the director's cut, which is probably the worst picture of them all, because the 90% of the film is 35mm original negative, undertaken by Silver Salt Restorations in the UK. Fantastic what they've done here. Studio Canal, absolutely brilliant. For the director's cut, all the added bits come from a video source because that's all they could find. And that looks pretty bloody terrible. There's no mince in the words here. It looks like an upscaled video done 4K. I mean, that's what it looks like. It's soft, it's horrible, it's washed out, it's nasty. But it's the only way you're ever going to see it. And amazingly, it actually looks better than it has on previous Blu-rays. They did. Was it a 40th they did? I can't remember. I had a steelbook upstairs with the same cuts of the film, and it looks better than that, which is remarkable considering it is video. But the worst bit about that, of course, is when you're putting it right next to. You've got a cut that goes straight to the 35mm part, and the difference is jarring. So you can't miss it. And because the director's has got little bits snipped in and out, unlike the final version, which doesn't. It's only got the bits at the beginning. The director's got a little bit snippets of it dotted throughout the film, so it's quite obvious where it is, and it really stands out. But it's I can live with that. I've lived with it for 10 years. 15 years. How long has the director's been out? I can't remember how long it's been out now, but I've lived with it for that long, and it looks its best now. So I'm very, very happy with the picture on that one. The final cut, which is what was given all the love when it was first discovered about, I don't know when was, I can't remember when it was, 10 years ago. That's been given a lot of love again. Looks very, very good. The very dark at the beginning when it starts off with the stuff in the church, because that's taken from a very poor source. Again, better than it did do before, and all the second night, the Gentle Johnny song, and all the other little bits and bobs that were taken out of the theatrical version, that looks better again. Still not as good as the original scan negative because it was taken from an into positive, but it still looks good, better than it did before, and it's not quite as jarring as the video stuff. Okay, so. Yes, very happy with the final cut, and then you've got the theatrical cut, which I don't know who watches that anymore. I mean, it's still got something to it, It's still a good film. It's still got the essence of the story there, but it doesn't quite have the power and resonance that the final and directors have because it misses that first night. Yeah, it misses the first night. So he's only there for one night, the guy. So it doesn't quite have the resonance or the power. Nevertheless, it's still got something, And of course, you've got the best picture there because it's taken from a 35mm original scan of the original negative. So that looks best, and it looks really, really good. Detail is fantastic, color looks good, looks very natural. The oranges when the thing's on fire, when the sun's coming up in the morning and the sun is beaming on it. It looks really good. No black crush, fabulous. Very, very enjoyable. And of course, you've got a whole raft of extras on it as well. It being a 50th anniversary, unfortunately, nothing new on it, but it's still everything you could ever want to know about anything, all packaged up in this lush, great big fat package. Oh, I want it. Yeah, big old book full of all sorts of bits and bobs, and a CD of the music as well. It's a fantastic package from Studio Canal. None of the picture issues that they have been known for in the past, not that I could discern anyway. No, I was very, very pleased with it. Yeah. Excellent. So once again, they've done the release proud. I think done the release proud.
They could have gone the whole hog though and thrown in the not the bees version.
They should have done that.
No.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. In 4K.
I tell you what. If we did such a thing as the end of year best releases, this year would be a very, very tricky one.
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't do such a thing.
We will now. Thanks, Mark.
We do. We do it every year, but you've just nominated yourself, Mark. So
no,
pat on the back.
Okay, then. Fast X.
Oh, sure. I mean, yes. What can I say? It's had a lavish 40th anniversary restoration. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Got the original camera negative, cleaned it up.
They've reinstated the subtitle "Momo a Mo Problem."
I think we should say that both the reviews that Mark and I have spoke about tonight are on early access, so you can already read them on site if you are a patron.
Yes, you can. They're up early. They won't be live for a minute because they're both early releases, and we're actually hoping to get our hands on a physical Wicker Man set. Well, I bet from his gestures Simon is, but yeah, we're hoping to also do that. Maybe a live unboxing in the future.
We do love an unboxing.
No, you do, Si.
I do like an unboxing.
You do.
We
one else does.
But back to...
Sorry, yes. I gave you the perfect scene.
You did.
But segue and look at you.
Drifted off. So look, Fast X, you can't really say a great deal in terms of what to expect on any level with this movie or this disc. Because honestly, Fast X is just another Fast and Furious film. I'm a big apologist for the series. I very much enjoy it. I enjoy taking the kids through them. I persuaded the wife to watch them. We all enjoy them. And the other day, the daughter said she wanted to start them all again from the beginning. That's not bad for an 11-film run. I find them absolute enjoyable nonsense with ridiculous TV soap levels of character development, but it still works. It's still enough for this nonsense saga. I like the over-the-topness. I like the action. I like the ridiculous, take themselves seriously characters, and the ensemble of stars they got on board is just fantastic. Statham, The Rock, they get everybody in to this insane nonsense journey, and I love it. I would say bit disappointed with the last one. I know I'm probably in the relative minority, but I can make time for almost all of the others, but this one I just found was distinctly a Fast and Furious movie that clearly was probably 5 hours long, that rather than they trimmed it to like 2 hours and released it, they went, oh, we'll just cut it in half at the 2.5 hour mark, and we'll release one this year, and then we'll release another in 3 years' time. I didn't find that very satisfying, even at Fast and Furious levels. Momoa's great addition. Almost all the others are like Larson and Jack Reacher, terrible cardboard cutout additions. And it has to speak to something that at any time when Jason Momoa's villain or Vin Diesel's Dom weren't on the screen,
Vin Diesel's what?
Dom.
Oh, Dom.
Dom, not Don. Any time when those two people weren't on the screen was just bargain basement. Like go to a London internet cafe, bargain basement, B-roll footage that just should have never, ever, ever made the cuts.
But then how else was Pete Davidson going to get in it?
Oh my God, just don't even.
Honestly, come on, Kaz.
Terrible scene. Such a terrible scene.
I'm warming to Pete Davidson. I used to hate him, but like I've seen him in enough stuff now to be like, he's not a waste of space.
He is in this.
He's never the worst thing on screen at any one time.
I mean, that's true. I mean, he managed to make the people in the Fast and Furious film look even worse. I mean, he managed to make me miss Vin Diesel. It was a fantastic job. Well done, Pete. So it is an interesting disc because there's no surprises. It looks and sounds fantastic. Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. I mean, it's a brand new release. A lot of money they put in it, and you can see it up there on the screen. It's a proper demo disc. There's nothing to surprise you there. But I would say, as a big fan of the saga, I've been kind of used to my extended cuts on the disc, and there are some extras on this, but there's no extra cut there. I'm guessing maybe it's because they literally put everything in there. Even the stuff that should have been cut.
You've just moaned about all the B-roll filler in it,
Yeah,
and now you're saying I wanted more B-roll
because you know what,
filler
the
in it.
extended cuts almost
Ay, ay, ay.
universally across the board are
Terrible.
slightly harder cuts with at least 5 more headbutts. So it's I've just been used to that. Even when they stuck one on digital, it's a good set, and if you like the films, you're going to get it. I would say that again, if you're going to consistently buy them on Steelbook, then I guess you would have no surprises here. But I would say it was a tiny little bugbear of mine that the Fast X Steelbook said 10 on it.
But they've been messing up the naming in the UK of the Fafu movies
they have.
like for ages, like since 5, right?
I know they've called it. Everyone, there's like Fast 5, and then there's the Fate of the Furious, and then there's there's loads of different names.
You never get that in the UK. You always get the number. Yeah,
but even in the UK they call it Fast X. It's like, just put an X on there. Anyway, yes, there. So that's Fast X. Boom.
Right.
Mark,
Shout
tell
out
us.
follows.
Yeah, tell us what's coming out.
Lots. I'm about to do this in record time so we can have our Drac chat. Starting over the water in the States, we have the ace Walter Matthau crime flick, Charlie Varick. That's been announced by Kino, as they tend to do, and then not actually release it for about another 2 years. But it's a good sign that Indicator have that over here. So fingers crossed we get an Indicator 4K out of that. That'd be good. The rubbish Death Wish film, take your pick. There's so many, but the really rubbish Death Wish film starring Bruce Willis from a few years ago, that's also coming out in November. I don't know. I mean, I think Kino put out the first Bronson Death Wish, but now they've skipped straight from the first of that to Willis's. I don't know. However, more importantly, given the time of year, yes, those Halloween announcements have started to come through in droves. One of which we've already mentioned. Scream Factory are indeed putting out the Batty Stephen King adaptation Silver Bullet on 4K on the 21st of November. They're also bringing Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, out on the 7th, and even better, the trash to piece 1988's Night of the Demons on October the 3rd. Okay. However, Paramount have skipped Halloween and they've gone straight to Christmas. So they've already announced Trading Places and Scrooged is coming sometime in November. We should expect those over here as well. And at this moment in time, Disney are just confusing everyone. 1 minute they're pulling all 4K out of Australia. The next minute they're suddenly announcing releases of their Disney Plus cash cows, The Mandalorian, Loki, and WandaVision. Who knows what's going on in Disney's head when it comes to their 4K releases. Arrow, though, they know what's what. And Arrow US, the swines, have announced Barbarella on November the 28th. We don't get that, no, but our Yankee cousins do. The swines. But anyway, just go over to the US Arrow shop and order it anyway. That's going to be great. And yes, I did write it like this on purpose. Meg 2 The Stench.
Very funny, Mark. Very funny.
Oh.
You should be a writer.
I should. It's coming out on 4K in the US on October 24th, so you might expect that some similar time over here. But now, setting foot back in Blighty, the previously announced Batman Mask of the Phantasm 4K, which was a HMV exclusive steelbook, which is out a week today, kids, is actually getting a standard non-exclusive edition coming everywhere on the 23rd of October.
Nice.
Arrow UK are indeed bringing us the baffling 4K release of Tremors 2.
Hey, I'm gonna get it. I'm having it. I love me some graboids.
It's a strange one, and even more so, they've made the actual packaging look exactly the same as the packaging of the first film.
It's green, isn't it?
Green.
That's the Arrow exclusive version. Is green. Oh, no, is it the other way round? I can't remember. One of them looks exactly like I don't know.
The other one's green.
Now, for all those who go, we never get any of those lovely Kino releases over here in 4K. We never get any of them. Well, tush and piffle, I say to you, and I jab my finger in your face while I tell you that Ridley Scott's Hannibal is making its way over here on the 23rd of October. I mean, granted,
goody.
Kino put it out 3 years ago over in the States, but it's finally coming. So let's hope it actually looks as good as that one, because it's a pretty great disc. And finally, because it's my piece, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to end on a grump. Just, because I can. Universal swines. Them again, who are rapidly becoming the worst studio for 4K releases, have gone and done it again. After my little rant last week or the week before, whenever we did the last podcast, they're at it again. They've just announced a 4K disc of The Black Phone, Scott Derrickson's horror, which is at least, I think that's 9 months since their 1080p release. But even worse, Cocaine Bear.
Oh,
now you'll all know about my rant about the UK version of Cocaine Bear.
How could you forget?
What have they gone and done? US release, complete with the Atmos track that we didn't get on our 4K release over here. I mean,
Maybe they heard you.
Well, I doubt it, because yet again, as was proven today, of all things, they seem to just be away with the fairies. Their US release of Promising Young Woman was announced, much trumpeted, with a brand new Atmos track, and you go to the menu on it, it says Atmos, it's Dolby Digital 5.1. It's not on the disc. Everyone's up in arms about it. So well done, Universal. You truly are crap. But please keep sending us discs. That's about it. I'd best probably stop there before I annoy every one of our supporters. So that's it. 4K news. Have at it.
Nice. Next up, it's streaming and TV show news.
If you'd like to support the AVForums podcast on a regular basis, then why not become a patron? Head over to patreon.com/AVForums to sign up. You can also make a one-off donation through the Super Chat or via streamlabs.com/AVForums. All donations help us to improve the website and the podcasts. Thank you to all our supporters.
Right, Bruce Lee's Warrior Season 3 just dropped on Sky with
Not
the
seen any
addition
of it.
of Mark Dacascos. Yeah, not many people have, apparently. But when we did the interview with Mark Dacascos, I noticed that he appeared in the trailer for Warrior Season 3, which has had a massive 2-year hiatus since Season 2. And he seemed quite coy about talking about it, but also very excited about it. I've seen the first 4 episodes, and it's the best we've had from Dacascos, apart from John Wick 3 in like years. It's a lot of fun seeing him join the cast. For those who don't know Warrior, and I call it Bruce Lee's Warrior because it is a Cinemax, Now Max TV show showrun by the guy who showran Banshee, which no one's heard of, but is
great show.
phenomenal. Yeah, it's great. And it's great. Like, you should go out and watch it right now, Mark. Great.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's
yeah.
so good.
Well,
lots and lots of punching.
With that
It is.
recommendation.
It is phenomenally gratuitous, Mark.
Yeah.
So
In all senses.
yes,
Love
so
it.
you would love it, Mark. Anyway, it's the people who did that, and they did Warrior, which it was it came from a number of different Bruce Lee ideas. He scripted something that he wanted to come into this, and he wanted to do his kung fu show, and a lot of the themes and ideas he had back then all pulled into this. But what's even better is they've got the main guy, Andrew Koji, and he absolutely does phenomenal impression of Bruce Lee in terms of fighting and mannerisms. He's obviously not acting like Lee throughout the whole thing. He's his own character. But when he takes the stage and like comes up and fights a bunch of people, he's right there. He's pulling off all of the moves that you would love to have seen Bruce Lee do in an ongoing TV show. And for those who've not jumped on this yet, watch the first few minutes of Season 3. It won't spoil anything for you on previous seasons. Just watch the first few minutes. And it's like some of the greatest Bruce Lee that doesn't start Bruce Lee you've ever seen. And it should be enough that you'll go back and watch the whole thing from the start.
You've convinced me.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I
Just
also checked back.
Banshee convinced me.
Yeah. I mean, for those who love Banshee, there's a lot of all of that in this. It does not hold back. Apple's Invasion. I forgot almost everything about this, to the point where I had to go back and read my review of the opening episodes of the first season, even though I'd watched the whole of the first season, and I read in it something about how this show better improve. I mean, it really didn't. It was like a 5 or a 6 straight down the line all the way through. And then I find myself at the end of season 1 going, oh, this show better improve in season 2. I've started season 2. It's kind of like a 5 and 6 straight down the line. I mean, I'm watching it, so it must be doing something, but it's almost irritatingly average. And it's Apple. There's a lot of money up there on screen, but it's
irritatingly average.
It is. There's no way anyone would ever recommend this show. It's so weird that they've thrown this much money into just a very TV show, sci-fi TV show, big budget, lots of creatures and all kinds of stuff going on.
Man, I'm having exactly the same experience with Wheel of Time by the sounds of it.
Yes.
Season 2, just the first 3 hours of it appeared at the end of last week, and having mildly enjoyed the first season, sort of like same thing, like thinking it's got space to improve when it settles in. No, it's like when you're watching the Two Towers and you're like, I'm more interested in this storyline, but I understand that this storyline has to happen parallel. Yeah. It's doing that, but it's all. I wish I was watching the other storyline, like all the way through. God. So
what you're saying, Tom, is it's almost as good as the Two Towers, is what you're saying.
It's almost as good as just watching the boil and mash and put them in a stew bit over and over.
Sold. You would be sold on that, Mark. I mean, after telling you about something great that you could watch.
Honestly.
Ahsoka, come at me.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's all right.
Yeah, it is totally fine.
Thunderously tolerable.
Episode 1, I think, was a super, like, it got in there, man. Like, it didn't waste any time in telling some story, which is really good, considering, I think I put in the review, like, considering it's Dave Filoni scripted and directed, and like Clone Wars and some of Rebels to an extent, notorious for just mucking around for a bit. And Ahsoka didn't do that at all for the first 1.5 episodes, 2 episodes really, like, because you went straight to the base on the shipyard, on Corellia. And although it was like dubiously consequential, like, why does this matter? It was still fun to watch. And then episode 3 dropped, and the whole episode was, what am I meant to be getting out of this? Like, the episode passed, and I turned to my wife and said, nothing happened.
Oh my
Nothing
God. I'm actually
happened.
really enjoying this.
So many gags there about Tom's wife turning to him saying nothing's happened. So many gags.
I watched I've been trying to get through Rebels, and it wasn't going to happen. So I started watching Ahsoka with the kids, and 2 episodes in, we went, you know what, we're going to do it. And we'd watch the Rebels recap, the half an hour, spoil every episode of Rebels, tell you everyone is going to die or get hurt and get blind or whatever.
I've seen that, actually.
We watched it all, and it helps a lot with Ahsoka. Yeah. It really, really helps. But then we've just put a pause in Ahsoka. We watched the 3rd episode, but we've gone back and we've nailed the first season and a half of Rebels, and are really loving it. But me and the family, we're really enjoying Ahsoka. It's not. I mean, we've got almost no complaints with it. I like the nods to her as a character and the stuff she does as a Jedi, which is just too outlandish in the hands of a lot of other characters, but seems to work. I'm gonna go outside and stand on a.
There was a lot of like
space. I'm gonna.
Yeah, that was fun.
You know, I'm gonna smash through the glass with my twin lightsabers and land below. I mean, it's like someone who wrote and directed some of the animation before, took some of those scenes and made them live.
It's good showy
And-
nonsense, that stuff, for sure. I don't
Yeah.
mind that at all. But
We-
it's just the fact that, like, so the first 2 episodes, like, rely heavily on just being, like, sticking to Star Wars formula to, like, keep you up to speed with, like, you might not know these characters, but you will know roughly the direction of what's going on because it's all very Star Warsy. And episode 3 went, like, way too hard on that stuff, where it's like, remember this bit of Star Wars? Remember this bit of Star Yeah, I do. You don't need to do this every 2 seconds. Like, I'm up to speed now, and I'm sure everyone is up to speed now. We don't need the blaster training, particularly. We don't need the space dogfight. As well done as it was, like, we don't need to see Sabine. Yeah, great shot, kid. That was one of them. No, we don't need that. Like,
Oh man, I loved it. I really enjoyed all of that. It's only like 30 minutes. A lot of
Yeah.
entertainment here.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I agree with Kaz, and I agree with you exactly what you're saying there, Tom. But I mean, I'm thinking about it before we come on air, and I'm thinking, well, what do we actually want from a Star Wars show now?
Oh
You
man,
know, are we so
complain.
jaded and so
Yeah.
hurt by what's come before? We don't really know what we want anymore. Because I don't really know. Because I'm
no, not at all, man. Like, I don't, because, like, I'm happy.
Do we want more Andor? I mean, that was fantastic.
No,
But
you
could
don't want
take the
everything
Star
to be
Wars name
Andor.
out of that, couldn't you?
Yeah, you don't want everything to be Andor. And, like, I've gone on record before saying, like, I am a person who likes Star Wars to the extent where I will even say I get enjoyment from Rise of Skywalker and I get enjoyment from The Phantom Menace. Like, I recognize that they are not good pieces of entertainment in a lot of ways, but I feel warmly towards them. And I would say that is true for all of us. So I will go out on a limb and I will defend Star Wars to be like, it doesn't matter what you expect of it. It is what it is. And if you don't like it, then fine. That's okay. I'm enjoying it. But even with Ahsoka, I'm a bit like, I feel a bit like you're testing my patience now. You're testing me a little bit as to what I will just go along with because it's Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. To I think the Star Wars I've enjoyed most in recent years, and granted, I haven't made it through Andor yet, so it might be that, and eventually I will, right? But
You've got no voice
but
here.
the Star Wars Visions, you know, the
those are fun.
Yeah, yeah.
animated anthology. Do you know what? Live action, some of that crap. That'll do me. I want Star Wars. I want different in the Star Wars world. You know, I want, Andor was, a political espionage thriller. Do you know what? Give me a Star Wars rom-com. Do you know what? Give me a.
But you won't watch
Star
that either if you haven't watched the Andor.
Yeah, but I will. You know, give me a Star Wars noir. Give me a Star Wars horror film, a proper full-throated horror. You know, do something different in the Star Wars universe. I think the problem is, and the reason why I think some of us are getting burnt out by it is recognizably the same narrative in a different dressing, in the same world in different dressing, and it is beginning to feel a little bit samey. I think, like with most of us, it's probably a lot easier for us to describe what we don't want than what we want. Whether or not you're going to choose a sofa or anything like that, it's a lot easier.
Ahsoka.
I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. Well, tell me what you do like. I don't know. You know, so it's a lot easier to sort of know what you don't like. And I think that's what Star Wars' problem is. It is caught between how do we keep the rabid fanboys happy who want more of what we've had versus, a few of those idiots like that Mark, who goes and wants something completely different.
I just wish more of the rabid fanboys were like me. It's like defend all of Star Wars to the death because it's Star Wars, rather than defend only the original trilogy to the death because they grew up with it. It's like, no, just if you really like it, then get on board. And I would say that this about Ahsoka is that I don't hate it at all. And as I say, I get enjoyment out of watching Star Wars. I'm getting enjoyment out of Ahsoka. I just thought it was going to be better than it is, I think is my complaint after the third episode.
I reckon we're going to bosh the rest of Rebels before
then
watch the last few of Ahsoka and then look forward to the big Thrawn crossover, whatever they've got lined up with, the other, what is it, Mando and Boba and everything.
Then they'll make a Chopper spin-off and everyone will watch it and love it.
Chopper's great. Anyway, enjoyed it. And that's it. We've run out of time.
What about Dracula?
I know, I'm joking. Right. So Dracula. We have like 5 minutes to talk Dracula. Oh no, we are actually out of time. Let's
do it quick.
We've got to do something because it's all over the pictures.
It is all. I mean, it's just pictures of Dracula. I mean, it's just this is it. Best and worst. Best and
There
worst.
is
Come
no
on, Tom.
contest. I'll go first. The best is
so-
right there. That is the best. End of story. There is nothing better.
Oh,
Apart
good.
from
Okay.
maybe
Dracula
that's also quite
is
good.
wrong.
Next
Dracula-
time.
And then that one there, that's also quite good as well.
How have you not put up a picture of Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's
Because
Dracula?
it's showy nonsense. That's
you've
why.
gone wrong, Simon. That is one of the best films ever made.
No.
Is Nosferatu actually Dracula?
No,
No, it's Orlok.
Sure.
Count Orlok. Yes, it is. It is. Unauthorized.
Yeah.
Adaptation, free adaptation is what they call it in the credits. Basically, they took the story, changed the
wasn't
names,
that
and put it on the
free in
screen.
the end, was it?
Although I have to say that they put in this film stuff that wasn't in the book and has become part of cinematic lore, and that is that sunlight kills the vampire. Before this film, it never did. So
True.
have that.
That's good. And also it's got the super fun like little side quest movie Shadow the Vampire with
great
Eddie
fun.
Izzard in, which is so much fun. And Willem Dafoe, right?
Film.
Yeah,
as Max Shrek.
Yeah.
Great
So
film.
much fun.
It is a great fun film, actually. Yes.
So,
Based on, if anyone doesn't know what that is, based on the making of Nosferatu, in
Mhm.
that Max Shrek was a real vampire. And if you see the Nosferatu, then yes, he actually does look like a Nosferatu. And the ramifications of this film run through horror to today. It's a classic and it's brilliant, and everyone should watch it. Any horror fan should watch that.
Robert
Just-
Eggers' version is going to be better.
so that's your worst, Simon. So what's your best?
Dracula in the season opener for
Didn't catch that.
Buffy.
Hey,
I
come
thought
on,
that was
that
a terrible Dracula.
I loved Buffy Dracula. That was so
Oh,
good.
God.
Dracula,
no.
Buffy
He was
season
so-
1.
He was super sexy though, right?
He had very nice
Come
hair.
on. He was.
Season 1 of Buffy was.
You could believe that he could enthrall people.
Oh, what?
Just 'cause you
Oh
eat
my
spiders.
Ass. It's just yeah.
Oh, come on, love for Dracula and Buffy. That was a good episode.
No.
No.
Mark, your worst.
My worst.
Don't say it's also your best.
No, I won't. I'm going with Dario Argento's Dracula 3D.
Yeah, snap.
Oh, that was terrible.
So great.
Utterly terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we're used to our horror legends having the odd blip. John Carpenter gave us.
Ghosts of Mars.
I've got time for Ghosts of Mars.
I was going Memoir of the Invisible Man, but okay. Wes Craven gave us Cursed, Vampire in Brooklyn. Wes Craven gave us a lot.
Oh.
But Dario Argento, who gave us, Tenebrae, Suspiria, Bird with the Crystal Plumage, he gave us Dracula 3D, which makes Jaws 3D look like a passable 3D.
I think the phrase is with Dario Argento, he fell off.
Oh,
He seriously fell off.
It was so. I mean, Thomas Kretschmann, he's a good actor. Rutger Hauer is ace. How he made them so bad is unbelievable. So
yeah,
yes,
it's almost unwatchable.
It is. Yeah, I will cut Dario Argento an awful lot of slack for an awful lot of things.
Yeah.
A, because he's Italian, and B, because he's Italian.
Yeah.
But that is. It is the lowest scored film I've been able to put on my Letterboxd account, and it is dropped the highest order.
Wow. And best?
Yes. Well, I'm doing something slightly different. I'm going with the best worst Dracula.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay.
And I'm going to steal this from Tom as well.
Oh, no, don't.
It's going to be the one we took. Well, all right, do you want to keep that one then?
Yeah,
All right,
I
you
want to keep that one.
All right. Tom will give you the best worst, but Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula is, I agree with Tom, it's one of the best It's Hammer updated as if they'd never been away.
It's like
utterly
You should say
glorious.
that's
it's the
far
cinema. It's the
braver.
history of cinema in a movie, and it's just incredible. It's like it is a movie that I am always in the mood to watch.
Yes.
So this is
Amazing.
your best as well, Tom.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
And
No argument.
your
But-
worst.
Oh man, but the best worst is by a country mile Dracula 2000 because Gerard Butler.
Virgin Megastore the movie.
Absolutely. But do you know what? It is absolute trash, but it gives a bit of Dracula lore that just
Love it.
clicks.
Love it.
Like the end of the movie, you're just like, yes. Why didn't I think of that before? And I shall I give away
Love
the
it.
twist? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
give it
garbage.
away. Give it
No, I
away.
haven't
It's
seen it. Don't
ace.
do it. I'm going to
It's
go and watch
amazing.
this off the
No,
back
Give
of
it
your
away.
best, worst recommendation.
Because it explains.
La, 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 la.
I won't spoil it for you, Kaz, but it explains every piece of Dracula lore in one line, and you go, "Oh my god, yes, yes!"
It's so terrible, but
It
so brilliant.
redeems the entire movie almost, but it doesn't because the movie is
The movie's
so
yeah,
bad,
yeah, but don't
so
forget,
bad.
it's the movie that gave us Jerry Butler.
I know, and he
No
is great.
Dracula 2000, no Jerry Butler.
Yeah.
Evs. That
Yeah.
simple.
So
It's
definitely go
Great
check it out.
trash.
I mean,
Yeah.
both Tom and Mark have said Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I have to agree.
Oh, shut
Just-
up, you.
It's just
What's
it's
the
just
matter with you? All these Dracula
absolutely
films, and three of you
epic.
picked the same one.
Yeah,
I can't.
Jesus
But so I'm going to go
What's
with
wrong-
two other
What
two
is
other
wrong with the
choices
original Hammer Dracula,
in a similar-
1958?
in a
Come on.
similar vein to Mark. I'm going to go with two messier choices. We're going to go with the worst Dracula being Blade Trinity.
Oh,
I mean, it just
Ugh.
it's just so uncomfortably wooden, and yes, this is me with my shirt unbuttoned and I'm going to plank around town whilst a really grumpy Wesley Snipes kind of tries to, take me down in a horrendous misfire of a sequel. I mean, you got Blade over here, and they doubled down in Blade 2.
Oh,
Had a
yeah.
lot of fun in Blade 2, and then in Blade 3 they went, no, let's have rock Dracula wandering around the streets, like getting his grump on. And
Make
let's
sure Ryan Reynolds talks as much as possible.
Oh my god. The fact that Ryan Reynolds isn't the worst thing about that movie
He is.
he anyway. The fact that he tries not to be the worst thing about that movie is just speaks to the crap that goes on in it. So
Yeah.
there.
Good choice.
And best worst movie for me is John Carpenter's Vampires. I mean, it is also a very, very, very bad movie on almost every quantifiable level. From the way he shoots it, there are scenes, I think, where you're supposed to see Dracula's using powers, and instead you see like James Woods running and then hitting a wall, and it's just really, really clunky in terms of effects, in terms of acting, massively over the top acting. It's got a cast of Z-listers supporting James Woods, and
Stop trying to make James Woods happen, John.
Daniel
Carpenter.
Baldwin,
Just
the best Baldwin.
Daniel Baldwin is just brutally bad in
Poor
it. And
Stephen, man.
given like a proper tragic character sort of, but you just laugh at some of his performance anyway. But there is something absolutely gloriously entertaining about this bit of nonsense, this rock Dracula movie with James Woods chomping a cigar, looking like he's going to have an aneurysm, getting so stressed about vampire hunting. He's in there. They're going in there. They're pinning the anchor weight. They're pulling the nest out. Everything's exploding in the background. He's chomping on his cigars and getting very stressed that they're not taking it seriously enough. And then Dracula himself comes off. He's swearing at Dracula. He's like, "You call that a cross? This is a cross." I mean, he takes it so seriously that you can't help but really get on board with the entertainment factor of this nonsense.
We need a 90s cool guy to front this movie. James Woods.
he's still in The Hard Way with Michael J. Fox. He's walked straight off the set in character into this movie, and he's come up with like some low rent Z grade Dracula, and he's not having any of him. It's fabulous nonsense.
I will say the hotel room takedown though is it's amazing. There's people getting ripped in half.
Yes,
it's amazing.
It is. That is the bit. That's the hotel. That's the bit where Dracula goes and he starts tearing through. For some reason, James Woods and his group have decided to get really drunk, and all of the women have no clothes on. And they're all getting drunk. They're in Mexico and they're having a ball. They've just taken down some vampires, and Dracula turns up and he's tearing through them all. And Dracula has also got powers, but they've got no budget for that. So he's just pushing people around, and all John Carpenter has them do is just has them run into walls. James Woods does a diving shooting across the room and then just ends up in like a chest of drawers for no reason. Like, it doesn't look like Powers did it. Sure, Dracula's waving his hands. It just looks like James Woods was drunk and he went straight for the chest of drawers. But yeah, it's a phenomenal piece of really, really bad action.
And Argento and Carpenter were clearly eating the same meals in the 90s.
It's great. I mean, I would say it's one of my most watched Carpenter movies. It makes no sense because it's nowhere near his epic kind of classics, but it's a lot of entertainment.
Just to correct Tom there, Argento made Dracula 3D in 2012.
Oh,
yes. Yes, none of this 90s excuse. None of this, I was off me bonts on cocaine. None of this excuse.
That's sad.
It could have been.
That's sad, isn't it?
Could have been Oxy. Right. So,
Vampires done.
Should we have a couple of honourable mentions?
Oh,
sure.
The BBC adaptation 2020. 3
No.
episodes.
No.
That was good.
2 good episodes.
Two good episodes, one poor
one waste of time.
I quite like that. And of course, we ought to mention Reinfeld because Nick Cage, come on.
I mean, I would say when we were talking about it earlier about why Dracula movies fail, I think that just about sums it up. Nicolas Cage's performance in that is why I think they couldn't get a lot of Dracula movies right back in the day, because it is kind of hard to make that character in the 2000s someone you take seriously. And Renfield with Nicolas Cage kind of played to that. But like, imagine trying to do a serious movie and having Dracula act like that. There would be an element of people going, "Are you taking the piss?" It's so that movie really worked in that respect. But I can see a whole host of directors in previous times with failed attempts to try and. I can almost see why they ended up just going, "Forget it. Let's have Rock Dracula with his shirt undone." He's obviously Dracula. We just can't be doing with this guy who's like with his little fingernails on the staircase and his slick back hair. It's just not. It's not working in 2000.
I also semi-enjoyed the Dark Universe movie, the Dracula Untold.
Oh,
the proto Dark Universe movie. It was meant to lead into it.
It was,
wasn't it?
yeah.
It's only because you like sexy Draculas, Tom.
Yeah,
It's only because
I do love a sexy Dracula. It's true. I can't get enough.
I have time for Dracula Untold.
I think it's okay.
I thought it was going to be I Frankenstein. I thought it was going to be I Dracula, and it wasn't.
As a bit of like, hey, let's imagine how a Dracula happened. That was okay. I had an okay time with it, and it had a sexy Dracula
and Dancer's value for money. He was proper evil in it.
Always. And I also rate Luke Evans, is it? I think he's pretty good. I think he's okay.
Especially good in the Fast and Furious movies.
I think in general he's a pretty good actor who chooses some dodgy stuff to be in.
Unlike his starring performance in Fast 6.
Absolutely. as
Right.
as, as the brother of a Cockney with a Welsh accent.
Oh, in this household, we've invented so many Shaw brothers. There are so many Shaw brothers. There's Deckard and Owen, and there's Hattie.
Billy Bob.
There's also Brickard, is a new Shaw brother. I don't know, and we just give new names. Occasionally, there's a new Shaw brother. I don't know. It's mostly about what they drive, but there's so many in the Shaw family now in this household. Really, someone get me to Hollywood. I can write the next 10. Coming soon, we're going to be checking out Poirot's Haunting in Venice at the cinemas. We're going to be looking at the live action Little Mermaid on Disney Plus because
someone's got to.
Yeah, we didn't do it at the cinema, and apparently 4K is no longer a thing for Disney. So. Batman Mask of the Phantasm on 4K, like Mark mentioned. We'll probably do the exclusive if we can. Tom's going to check out Apple's new horror show. Horror? I'm gonna
horror fantasy?
Horror
Yeah.
something. The Changeling. Plus, we're going to have an early look at Studio Canal's upcoming 4K releases of Mark's favourite Cutthroat Island and U571, which is a guilty pleasure. It's all hell for me. Simon's looking at the Psycho sequels box set.
I am. I started today.
Nice. And you've got a soft spot for them, haven't you?
Well,
They're all good. They're all good.
Oh, we're going to come to that next podcast, aren't we? And I'm going to take a look at Criterion's first UK 4K. Scorsese's After Hours, which I've never seen, and is sitting over there waiting for me to stop talking.
It's ace.
Looking forward to it. Right, do let us know if there's anything we've not covered that you think we should check out. That's it for the AVForums podcast this week. My thanks to the movies team, Simon, Mark, and Tom. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel, plus hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when we publish our live streams, product reviews, and more. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and bookmark avforums.com for the latest reviews, news, and videos. Plus, why not leave us a 6-star rating on whichever service you use, if they allow it, but only if you enjoyed the show.
If they allow it.
I'm Kaz Harlow. Thank you for watching and listening, and join us for another podcast soon.
Bye.
Bye.